Okay, I'm looking at our attendees. I'm seeing a couple of folks. Hi, Brian and Sharon. Welcome to today's webinar. I'm seeing a couple more people popping in. Hello to our call-in listener. Don't see your name, but happy to have you here. Hi, Michelle. Thanks for joining. We're going to get started in just a few minutes. Hi, Steve. Thanks for joining us today. We're going to get started in just a few minutes. Hi, Deb. Thanks for joining. We're going to get started about 2 o'clock, so just a few more minutes. Hello to Brent. We're just waiting for all the attendees to get into the room here, and we'll get started around 2 o'clock. Okay, so seeing that it is now 2 o'clock, I figure we can get going. Hello and welcome to today's webinar. Our topic today is launch or revamp your in-house CNA training program, and it is brought to us by WisCaregiver Careers. WisCaregiver Careers aims to make CNA training easier to access, and as part of that goal, we'd like to empower our employer partners to train their CNA workforce in-house. Employer-provided CNA training has several recruitment and retention advantages, including teaching your company values and priorities from square one and recruiting from a wider pool of applicants. Today's session is designed to help you connect with external training providers to bring CNA training in-house. With me today from Herzing University are Jarvis Racine and Lisa Carr. Hi, thank you for being here. And with me today from Academic Platforms and CNA Training, or CNA Online, is Gwinnett Winstead and Julie Godowski. Thank you all for being here. Can't wait to hear everything you have to say. Both of these providers offer 75-hour training program configurations. So we're hoping that today's session will provide resources, ideas, and a forum to learn more about and to ask questions about how to get started with in-house training or to adapt your existing CNA training curriculum to the new 75-hour structure. We're also hoping that this will help you connect with the WisCaregiver Careers program to help you get the support that you need with the program application process to become a training provider. So here's an overview of today's agenda. We want to get you started just with a general program overview so everybody knows what we're talking about when we mention WisCaregiver Careers. I'll provide some overview information about the nurse aid training program application process. Then we'll hear from Herzing University about their CNA training, and then we'll hear from Academic Platforms on their CNA online platform. And then we'll finish up with Q&A. So please make sure to jot your questions down. We really want to make this, again, a forum for you to ask questions and get advice on how to go about starting or revamping your training program. So just a real quick program overview. I'm sure most of you are participating in WisCaregivers, but just to make sure we're all on the same page, WisCaregiver Careers is a workforce development program designed to address the CNA shortage in Wisconsin nursing homes by providing free training, free certification testing, and $500 sign-on or retention bonuses. The program seeks to encourage new workers to enter the field of caregiving by lowering the costs of becoming a CNA and by making training more readily accessible. The program pays for the free training and testing, while the employers pay for the bonuses. A little bit about our administration. WHCA is taking the lead on program administration and administers the program's finances through a $400,000 Wisconsin Fast Forward grant, which we were awarded last summer by the Wisconsin Department of Workforce Development, and through a $77,000 civil money penalties reinvestment program grant, which was awarded last month through CMS and the Wisconsin Department of Health Services. All of the program's training and testing expenses are covered through our Wisconsin Fast Forward grant. However, the grant also includes a small budget to support employers who wish to implement an in-house training CNA program, which utilizes the new 75-hour curriculum option that was newly allowed under a change in state law that was enacted last year. This law change pegged Wisconsin's minimum number of CNA training hours to the standard that's set in federal law, which is currently 75 hours. This change in the law does not require existing training programs to reduce their instructional hours, but it does give them the flexibility to decide if they want to streamline their curriculum to meet their needs. It's important to note, however, that any change in your training program needs to be reviewed and approved by DHS, which I will get into in more detail in just a few minutes. But the point that I'm trying to make here is that our wonderful Fast Forward grant is not only making it possible for us to bring you today's webinar, it can also cover my time to assist and support you in preparing and submitting your program application to DHS. I can also help you troubleshoot and navigate the application process and help you connect with the right people within DHS and be your advocate throughout the process. We have a lot of flexibility when it comes to this aspect of the grant. So I am totally open to your ideas on how WisCaregiver Careers can be most supportive to you in this regard. So please feel free to reach out to me on how we might be able to help. So moving right along, I just wanted to cover the DHS DQA approval process from a very high level, just to kind of give you a sense of what's involved in the process. We won't really be getting into the nitty-gritty details of what your application needs to say, just what the ballpark expectations are for getting started. An important disclaimer is that all nurse aid training programs must be approved by the Wisconsin Department of Health Services prior to providing instructions. Just wanted to make sure everybody understood that. Again, with all of you employers being within this realm, I'm sure that that's well understood. But again, just wanted to make sure we're all on the same page with that. Within the Department of Health Services, the Division of Quality Assurance is the team that is involved with the approval process. They actually have a specific team devoted to nurse aid training and testing that oversees this process. And I can, again, be of assistance in making sure that you can connect with the right people to get your application going. I will cover in the next few slides your three options. You've got your emergency nurse aid training program, which is a really easy entrance point for anybody interested in doing nurse aid training. Then I'll address the application process for a new program, not an emergency program, but just a more permanent training program. And then the change process for any training providers out there that are currently above 75 hours, looking to scale down to 75, or any other types of changes that you might be looking to make. So moving right along, on the emergency nurse aid training program. One important thing to note when it comes to the emergency nurse aid training program is that this will only be an option for as long as the federal health emergency stays in effect under COVID-19. We do not have a set date for when the federal health emergency is going to expire, but we have been told to expect it to last through the end of 2021. In my opinion, this emergency nurse aid training option is a great way to get your feet wet with in-house training and to meet the immediate needs of the health emergency. And it's a low input way to try it out before committing the staff time to pursuing a more permanent program. A word for those programs that are currently operating under these rules, it is most certainly not too early to get your long run application started. Now is the time to get started so that you're not scrambling once we receive word that the federal emergency is drawing to a close. We don't want your program to experience any interruptions in service while your application is pending. We just want to make sure that you are giving yourself and the folks at DQA enough time to vet those applications and get them approved. So yeah, so if that is your current offering, keep that in mind. So, but in order to get this sort of program started, it could really not be easier. There's 3 simple steps. Reviewing the skills checklist. The emergency nurse aid training program is very much, it very much revolves around this checklist. It's what you see on your screen here is just a snippet from it. It's a front and back page with about 40 or 50 skills listed on there of the common skills that nurse aides need to be able to demonstrate in order to be considered ready to take the exam. So what you need to do is just review that skills checklist so you understand what sort of skills you need to be training for. And then you need to organize your 75-hour curriculum. There is a rule that says that the emergency nurse aides must complete this 16 hours of preliminary training before working with your residents. So that is available on the webpage that's listed at the bottom of the screen. And actually Academic Platforms, who's going to be speaking later today, has created a free 16-hour online training. So there's a couple of different options for you to choose from for those 16 hours. Also included in this 75-hour minimum curriculum under emergency nurse aid training is 16 hours of clinical. But how you structure the remaining hours is totally up to you. As long as those skills are getting taught and the nurse aides are competent in those skills, you're fulfilling your needs under this program. In order to get started with this program, it really could not be easier. All you have to do is send an email to the email address listed on this screen with the details listed on the screen. So name, contact information, all those things. And that's it. It's one email. And then DQA will reply back with your approval to get started. So yes, again, couldn't be easier, a great way to get your feet wet, a great option to consider. Moving right along to the application process for a new program. The first thing to note is that the nurse aid training program application materials for long run programs, non-emergency programs, are currently being updated. So, and I've worked closely with the nurse consultant at DQA. She's always given me a great impression. She seems like a wonderful person to work with. And I know that she's hard at work updating those materials. So according to their website, the first thing that you need to do if you're interested in moving forward with this process is send an email to that DQA training and testing team. Again, it's that same email box. It's a kind of long, wonky email address, but it will get you to the right team to do that. Also, on that same page, there are several materials listed for your review to just help you get started. There are guidelines for approval. There's a list of supplies that you need to have, and then an application and information about your trainers. There's a list of train the trainer locations across the state. And in reviewing the guidelines for approval, in a nutshell, what you can expect with this process is that you contact DQA. DQA then sends you a packet to complete and return. The packet is reviewed and given either preliminary approval, or they'll tell you what you need to do in order to get that packet complete. Then they perform a site visit prior to approval within 6 months, and then every 2 years thereafter, or whenever they may deem it necessary. So that's something to keep in mind. It's not just those 3 times. But again, those application materials need to be requested, and I'm sure you will be advised appropriately upon contacting that DQA team about how to go about submitting your application. So moving right along to changing your training program. If all you are doing is changing the number of hours in your program, there is a really easy online form listed at the email address on your screen right now, or I'm sorry, the web address listed on your screen right now. It's only available though for those simple changes. So just changing the number of program hours. If you're changing anything else like program designee, instructors, trainers, curriculum, location, any of that things, you need to submit a substantial change application available at this web address. Upon reviewing the application, it seems very easy to complete. It's a 1-page form asking you for dates of when the change is going to occur, and then asking you to attach details of the change. So again, I think that with the new nurse consultant that DHS has, that she's really customer friendly and user friendly, and is trying to adapt their procedures to make it easier for all of us to comply. So good news in that front. So without further ado, I think I'll wrap it up and hand it over to Jarvis and Lisa from Herzing University to tell us more about all the great program offerings that they provide. So thank you, Jarvis and Lisa, for being here.
Thank you, Kate, and hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. I'm Lisa Carr, the Workforce Development Account Manager at Herzing University that manages the relationship between Herzing and WHCA. The partnership's been, I think we're going on 2 years now, and what it does is offers tuition reduction scholarships of 20% on any of our static programs at Herzing University. And we also can talk about cohort benefits, clinical placements of our students, and any other ways we can support your employees' growth. And with me today is Jarvis Racine. He is our Vice President of Strategic Partnerships, Workforce Development, and Government Affairs.
Thanks, Lisa. Hi, everybody.
Hi. And he'll talk a little bit later in more detail on the CNA program. What I'm going to do now is just go over a little bit about Herzing for those of you that don't know about us. Kate, there we go. So we were founded in 1965 by Henry and Suzanne Herzing. We are a private nonprofit institution that is accredited by the Higher Learning Commission, and we've had that since 2004. Since 2013, we have held a recognition of being one of the best online bachelor's programs across the United States by US News and World Reports. And right now we boast about 40,000 graduates and continuing, we're growing and we're keeping true to our Wisconsin roots. We have 3 campuses within the state, Madison, Kenosha, and Brookfield, as well as our online division being housed right here in Menominee Falls. We, a little bit more about our details with Herzing. We do keep our class sizes smaller. Average class is about 14:1 for the ratio. We have over 600 faculty members, and that gives you a little bit more of an individual one-on-one approach. They're always available for assistance and help, as well as a plethora of other student services advisors, career development advisors, you get a financial aid advisor, an admissions advisor. We're all just really there for student success. So even if your class is online, you are not alone by any means. And we do offer 30+ degree programs, healthcare, nursing, public safety, technology, and business classes as well. And then we do pride ourselves on our nursing expertise. 85% of our students are focused on some sort of healthcare career. 45% are enrolled in our nursing programs. We also offer pathways within our programs. So you can start at that diploma level with nursing and go all the way up through your master's degree. And we also offer access to our advanced simulation centers and labs. And then this is the exciting slide. Look at that new CNA program launching in November. So you could start with your CNA and take this path through your diploma, so your LPN. You could go through your bachelor's degree, your master's degree, your postmaster's degree. You could just keep going with us. And that's what we want. We want you to advance your education through us, start little, go, and then maybe come back and teach. That would be our, you know, the exclamation point on your career, right? And now Jarvis is going to talk with us a little bit more about the actual CNA program.
Thanks, Lisa, and thank you everybody for joining the call today. Greatly appreciate it. As Lisa mentioned, our new program is going to be launching later this year, so we're working through that process that Kate just outlined a few minutes ago. So we're right in the throes of all those steps and going through our full application process with the state. We are not doing it under the emergency order. We're doing it as a full new program offering within the state. Our approach is a hybrid approach that we'll be taking. So the delivery of the curriculum will be done on a didactic basis online. So we'll provide access to our learning management system and provide our students access, and you as facilities access to that learning system. Skills validations and clinicals will take place at our partner sites. So if you're interested in hosting the training at your facility, again, we're looking forward to having that opportunity to do that with you all. We are offering the program at 6 different start dates throughout the year, and our program will last 4 weeks to complete. So we are utilizing that 75-hour training requirement that is in place now. We've built our entire program off of the Wisconsin requirements and the skills and the assessments that were built out in the legislation. So it meets all of the Wisconsin requirements as well as all the federal program requirements. So our program is portable to other states as we go forward. And as you know, once you complete the program, you can sit for the Wisconsin CNA certification exam and skills checks. So we have, on the next slide, we have 2 options for our partners. The first option, for those of you who have an existing program that's already state approved, and your program is in good standing, and your primary instructor and your state have been approved by the state, you can contract with us to do the didactic delivery for you. So you can offload that responsibility of the management of the classroom, the delivery of the class, lectures, the involvement day in and day out on that aspect of it. And then we would work with you and outline for you the skills checkoffs that need to be done, and also the outcomes on the learning side from the clinical experience. So you would still own that part, and you would own all the reporting to the state. So really in this situation, we're just your subcontracted vendor for the didactic delivery. As part of that though, we do provide a number of support mechanisms in place for our partners in this program. So we'd give you all the full skills that need to be checked off. We'd outline how those should be done. We'd be happy to train your faculty member or your primary instructor on those skills. We'd walk through the clinical overview and provide some training for that as well. In addition, we'd give you the opportunity to have access to all of the didactic delivery online. So in case you had remediation that you needed to do and you wanted the student to revisit some videos or take part in some of those additional trainings, we'd be happy to work with you, and we'll work with you on making sure that your students successfully complete the didactic program and can successfully complete the state requirement. The other track is our track 2 option, which really is where Herzing owns the entire program. So you would basically give us the entire program. We would actually own that whole program, sorry. And in this situation, similar to track one, we would do all the didactic delivery online, and then we would contract with you to hire an on-site instructor to do the skills validation and the clinical rotation. And in this situation, though, we're the one responsible for meeting all the state requirements of the documents, complying with all the state reporting on an ongoing basis, and working with the state to ensure that the site meets requirements and that you have all the supplies that you need to successfully manage that program. So track one, all we're doing is the didactic for you. Track two, Herzing owns the entire process and works with the state to have your site as an approved location. So those are the two tracks that we are offering. In both situations, the proctor model, really for track one and track two, require that you do have somebody on board that has at least 1 year experience in long-term care or assisted living, that they complete the trainer program, and that they are a RN in good standing with the Board of Nursing. So no difference in that requirement than most of you are dealing with today in your programs. The proctoring, again, as I stated earlier, will take place at your site. And then the way we've actually broken this out, which I think is really beneficial, is that in either track, the lab hours, there are 22 lab hours, 18 of those are done virtually and 4 of those are done on site. So we cut back on a lot of those skills, training and things that you have to do on site. So because of the way we set up our learning management system, we can do so many of those skills trainings online today with new technology. It's incredible the things that we are able to do in terms of understanding and validating skills via our online platform. And then obviously still as the requirement, we'd have 16 hours of clinical rotation as part of that program. So in total, it'd be 22 hours of lab and 16 hours of clinical in addition to the curriculum itself. And that curriculum, the way we built that curriculum is that it's not a setup where every day they have 3 hours where they have to come in or be online. It's really kind of a self-led model that has all sorts of remediation and checkoffs built into that program in its entirety. So from day one through the final 4th week, they're interacting with the system and the online instructor that oversees that. In addition, our online instructor, who will own the didactic responsibility, will work with you and provide you with feedback on how that student is doing, how they are moving along in their learning objectives, and also identify for you any sort of deficiencies that that student has. So when you start to work on those skills checks with them, you're fully aware of what's going on. So we wanted to make sure that this is a very collaborative approach, that we're very hands-on and very involved in the program, regardless of which track you ultimately decide to choose. So again, as Lisa stated, we're going through our current licensing process right now with the state. We have an expected start date of November 29th for that program. We're finalizing our pricing, but we've taken a look at the statewide programs and fully anticipate that we'll be competitive with the way that pricing is set up for most of the programs. Just to be clear, our entrance requirements for the program is that you are a high school graduate, or you score a 16 on the Wonderlic score, or you have a 2.5 GPA at the end of your sophomore year. Students are also required to be 16 years of age and also required to do a background check as part of that process. And we will handle all of that background check for you in track 2 as that option provides us with full responsibility for all reporting. So that's a quick overview of our program. I know there's lots of questions and we saved some time for Q&A at the end. You can take your phone out and do this great little QR code, or you can copy paste that link to fill out our information sheet, or you can just email Lisa directly and she can provide you with a link to fill out that form so that we can provide you with more opportunities to have a conversation around the training and learn more about our approach to the overall delivery of the program. And we're happy to stay on the call, by the way, if we and answer any questions that you have as well. So I'll turn it back over to you all. Thank you so much. Greatly appreciate your opportunity to speak with you all and to share our exciting new program.
Thank you so much, Jarvis and Lisa. That was really interesting to hear about. So it's just really cool what you're doing. And I think one of the things that really stands out for me with your program is the career ladder and how, you know, an individual can start as a CNA and a employer can start as, you know, a CNA training provider and then continue that relationship on, you know, and support the employees moving up, because we all know we need people at every level, not just CNA. And, you know, to kind of build your bench like that is, I think, one of the things that really stands out to me from Herzing. So.
Yeah, thanks, Kate. Appreciate that. And again, on that subject, so happy to talk with anybody about how we're layering these programs, how we can set them up, not only the CNA program, but pathway programs. We've been partnering with Kate on coming up with some ideas on some great collaboration in the future to offer to all of you as well. So we're just really excited to be part of the solution and help you find great solutions to attracting and retaining those employees as you go forward.
Well, without further ado, I think we should move on to CNA Online, powered by academic platforms, and hear from Gwinnett all about all the great things that you guys are doing. So Gwinnett, thank you so much for being here, and go ahead and take it away.
Thank you, Kate, for inviting us. I'm Gwinnett Winstead. I'm the Director of Sales and Business Development for Academic Platforms. I have with me on the phone today Julie Gadowski. She's our clinical and curriculum development person. And we are thrilled to be in partnership with the Wisconsin Healthcare Association. We partnered with them about a year ago. We are also partners with the American Healthcare Association and help them create the program, the 8-hour and the 16-hour temporary nurse aid program, which to date, I think over 175,000 people have participated in, and we're very glad to help nationally on that. As far as our company goes, we are currently doing CNA online classes in 20 states now, and we have several others that are soon to be approved. So what we did was we kind of rethought how CNA training could happen, and it looks like other universities are starting to do that as well. We've been doing it for several years now. And during the pandemic, I think it became even more important, and people are trying to think about what they're going to do, you know, going forward in the future. So we wanted to make something that was, you know, standardized, it was affordable, accessible, and very flexible for both the student and the facility. And the way we utilize that, we feel like we're reaching today's workforce by, you know, with the people that are in the workforce today, they're used to learning online. We feel like the theory can be taught very easily online with an effective program. And we too think that career ladder is perfect. Start with the TNAs, move them up to your CNAs now, and then move them forward. Julie can attest to that. She started as a CNA, I think, at very young age, and has moved up all the way up the ladder, and then also was an administrator. So we have a very good resource there. And in addition to that, we capture data analytics. And you can move to the, I think it's the next slide, but well, that's just showing our partners, and I talked a little bit about that already. So we took the how to be a nurse assistant that American Healthcare Association has had out there for over 20 years, the curriculum. And we put that online with an online instructor, and that instructor is communicating with the students at least 3 to 4 times a week. They're also communicating with the on-site preceptor. So the actual skills training would take place at the facility, and we have the skills checklist within our system, and then we have the administrative portal with all the compliance data. And our program has, you know, a lot of online activities, quizzes, tests, videos, audios. We've done that in several different formats. We've added some gamification as well. And we can see in real time exactly how the students are doing. So as discussed before, a facility-based training program gives you the ability to grow your own workforce. It gives you the ability to bring the students in to the facility. And with the regulatory requirements, you have to use the approved program, which, you know, we've already checked that list off for a full program. You have to have your lab site approved. And Kate said that, you know, the help is there if you need any. And we also help our clients go through the approval process. And you have to have certified instructors. Our nurse educators are already certified for your state. And then you would need an instructor on site that's eligible. And those requirements were already discussed previously. This kind of shows you how our program is set up, the online program. What we've done is we've taken the curriculum and crosswalked it to each state. And it's done in 6 different modules, 12 different chapters. At the end of the course, the students will take a final exam that prepares them for their state test. We have everything in place as an approved program, but if you want us to add additional items to the program, we can customize it just for your facility or your corporation. So if you have those onboarding videos, that information about your corporation or what's expected of your employees, we can add that to the system. We just can't take away because we've gotten it approved. So we can't take away, but we can add to and make it more of a personalized program for just your facility or your corporation. And talking about corporations, we have a lot of clients that are multi-site corporations, even multi-state. And what they'll do is possibly hold an online class for several facilities and then go to one particular facility or a sister facility for their training, if that's where they have their skills and lab training, if that's where they have approval for a training facility. We still feel it's important for the clinical skills to be taught face-to-face. We present the students with all the clinical skills and, you know, the definitions, how the order they should be done in. We do some pre-lab quizzes with them, but we feel it's important for them to go in the facility face-to-face with their qualified instructor to learn those skills. We also have those skills on our system so that the online instructors, I think it's on the next slide, have the ability to do their grading of the online skills with our system. I think it's the next slide, but that's okay. This is a flexible schedule. We work with each facility. So if you have, you know, just a classroom full of TNAs and they've already got experience, you might be able to put them through the program in 2 weeks or 3 weeks. But if you have a classroom of students that are still working full time and aren't familiar, you may want them to go a little longer. We find the sweet spot to be about 3 to 4 weeks, but we do have a lot of people doing it shorter than that now, with a lot of TNAs trying to move up. So we work individually with each facility. You can start a class at any time. We like about 5 to 10 people in an online class, but we can have more than that. But sometimes there are state regs that only require so many people in the lab. So very flexible, very personalized program just for your facility and how you want to accomplish moving these students up forward. This is a picture of the grading software that the instructors have. One of the reasons we do this, we put it online like this for the instructors, is we're gathering all that data. So we don't just want to see how the student's progressing in the online classroom. We also want to see how they're progressing with their on-site instructor in that environment, learning their skills. We also give them the ability to put notes in here, and the students can see their grades at any time and see those notes. So if they failed a skill the last time they were in the lab and they're going back, they can see what they did wrong the previous time and hopefully complete that skill the next time. This is an example of all of the data that we're capturing for the students in real time. We can see if they've, what activities they're doing, their assignment results. We can see their skills checkoffs, their overall grades. We can see what chapters they may be struggling with, and the online instructor is there to help them through that material. And we also gather any communications going back and forth between the students and the online instructor, as well as the preceptor on site, are all being recorded. So you've got a great class history there, and we don't erase this history either. So you have that at hand if you need it. And this is just another view of what the program looks like, the data analytics look like within the program as well. You can see that you can drill down on any student and in real time see what their progress is. And we have a drop period, so this becomes very important to us. If you have a 3-week class, by the end of the first week, we allow you to drop the student. So you wouldn't be charged for that student. So it's kind of an additional vetting process. I noticed that you all have to have the 8 to 16 hours free class before they even start the class. So you've got a couple of different vetting processes there. So that should kind of ensure that you're getting, good students in there that are going to be successful. So some of the organizational advantages of hybrid learning is obviously the flexibility for a customized training within your care facility. Like I said, we can start classes at any time. We like a week to 2 weeks notice. If you think you have enough students to run a class. Your clinical staff does not have to teach the theory in a classroom, so you're not taking that RN off the floor to put her in a classroom environment. You see the transparency that I've shown you of the students' progress. So you're not going to, totally wait till the class is halfway over before you know how the student is doing. You can transition your current employees while they continue to work. They could be in one of the online classes. We find that our clients say they get more applicants when they advertise it as an online remote learning class. It gives the students social distancing. As I mentioned before, we have corporations that have classes that they run kind of statewide sometimes. And obviously you all are already covering the scholarship situation. The drop policy gives you an additional vetting process. And we also can give the students extended class time. We know life happens. We also know sometimes people can't go and take the exams right away. So we leave that class open for those students so that they can study and be able to review and prepare for their final exam, because we want them to succeed. Some of the student advantages, we've already mentioned social distancing, studying at any time. You can study on any device, a PC, laptop, smartphone, tablet, whatever they have available with internet access. They have 24/7 help through Canvas. They have different modes of study. We have not only just the book in an ebook form, we've also created a video, so it basically reads the book to them, or they can listen to just the audio. And we've gotten great feedback for students where English is their second language. They say it really helps them in their studies and their review. They have their grades available to them at any time, as well as their syllabus that shows them exactly what's expected of them. They're communicating with their instructors via email and phone, usually 3 to 4 times a week. And they can continue to maybe work in your dietary department or other places while they're taking the class. Obviously, there's no transportation for the online portion, or a lot of people say they study late at night after they put their kids to bed. So just to summarize, basically the strengths of our program, it's standardized curriculum. It's ACA's best of breed content. It is up for a revision this year. It's customized to meet each state's regulations. It's accessible, flexible. It gives you social distancing. It's labor and time saving, not paying the students when they're doing their online studies. And we too believe in the career path, and we think it's a great path for them to get started in their nursing career. So a lot of you might be thinking how you're going to keep any temporary nurse aides that you have that are good employees, and do you have time to transition them? How long will it be? Will you be able to employ them? And that's all kind of up in the air with the federal waivers. So it's time to get started. It's time to start thinking about taking a little more control over your workforce and how you can develop that workforce when you need it. And we're going to have some Q&A afterwards. I'm going to show you just a quick glance of the program. If I can, if you can stop sharing your screen. So this is what the program looks like. I'm in the instructor view. The students, we send out a quick start information for them a few days before. They have technical support if they need it, but we find it to be very intuitive. We utilize the knowledge management system that's used by a lot of universities across the country. And they have help available 24/7. They have an inbox here to communicate with their both instructors. They have a syllabus, so they always know exactly what's expected of them, as well as someone communicating that to them. If they're not getting started, we can see that they're not engaging. There's a course introduction. The state statutes are listed as well. Like I said, it's done in 6 different modules, and there's chapters within each module. And then at the end, there's a final exam. And I'm just going to open up one of the chapters just to give you a view of what that looks like, because all of them are pretty similar in how they are set up. In the beginning of the chapter, they're going to have an introduction to the chapter. It's going to go over all the objectives of what they'll be learning within this chapter. And then, as I said before, we have the book in 3 different formats, which makes it very easy for them to study, gives them a little variable ways of studying. We have skills videos to prepare them before they go into their lab. We have medical terminology, and we've added some gamification to that, as well as traditional ways of studying that. There's quizzes in each chapter, and those quizzes, they get plenty of time to study the quizzes. They can take them more than once if they want. But when they get to the chapter test, they are going to, if they were to fail that test, then we're going to lock it down until our online instructor communicates with them what they want them to review before they open it up to take it again, because we want these students to be successful. We want them to retain the knowledge so that they can pass the final exam. That's really, our goal is for them to be successful. So that is a quick overview of what the program looks like. We do have the skills graders within the system for the on-site instructors so that they can grade the students, and the students can be able to see the results of that as well. And that's a pretty quick overall view of what it looks like. And I know that people are probably going to have some questions, so Julie and I are here for questions as well. You can contact us for a more complete demo if you'd like. We'd love to do that for you. And I really appreciate the time today, and look forward to hearing from some of you.
Thank you so much, Gwinnett. If you want to go ahead and stop sharing your screen, then I'll pull the PowerPoint up and we'll move on to the Q&A section of our presentation. Let me see here. There we go. Okay. So, in terms, and one thing I did want to just mention to you, Gwinnett, I think in listening to your presentation, a few of the things that really popped out to me is, how customizable and employer-centered your offerings are, the fact that they can start the program at any time and it's super flexible in terms of, people hopping in or hopping out. And then I really appreciate you mentioning about the temporary nurse aides and how now is the time to start thinking about transitioning them to a path to certification. I know a lot of our employer partners have been operating these temporary nurse aid programs under the COVID emergency. And yeah, I just want to encourage all of our employers on the line to think about moving toward that certification pathway for those temporary nurse aides. So that we don't lose those great employees who've gotten started throughout this pandemic. So great points. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
So moving right along to the next step. So after today's presentation, I will send out an email with today's recording as well as the PowerPoint slides. I will provide a list of our attendees to our presenters for follow-up. So they'll be reaching out to you to see if there's any further information that they can provide. And then finally, just use me as a resource. Anything that I can do to help you get your in-house training program up and running is what I want to do. So yeah, again, I'm here for you, and just let me know how I might be able to help. Here's all of our contact information. And with that, I'll open it up for questions. I am looking at our Q&A box. Oh, and in order to ask a question, just use the Q&A box on your screen and just type it in there and I'll read it aloud. So the first question that we've received thus far is, are we able to participate in this if we are under an IJ situation? That you would, this program doesn't interact with the IJ at all. So if you've got an IJ that's prohibiting you from providing nurse aid training, this program wouldn't change that. But WHCA can advocate for you for a waiver situation. So I still encourage you to reach out to me if that is your situation and you would like some assistance. Because again, WHCA is here for you and we want to help all of our members the best we can. Advocating for our members in this regard is something that we gladly do. So again, I hope to hear from you if that is your situation. I don't see any questions popping up right now. I'm going to check my chat box. Oh, you're welcome. The person typed in, thank you for your help. You are welcome. Thank you, Kelly, for popping up the information about how to get some more information about Herzing's options. I think one of the questions that I'm kind of anticipating might be on our viewers' minds is how you went about formulating this 75-hour program versus like a 120-hour or anything like that. Like, how did you go about figuring out like what is the important stuff to put in there and leave out?
Sure, I can talk to you real quick about how we've established ours. Since ours is a newer program, we didn't need to make that change from a 120-hour program to a 75-hour program. We actually worked with the state and got a list from the state again, and they have that for everybody on their website of all of the requirements that are part of that. And then we built the program around that and around the time necessary for each of those knowledge aspects to be developed and understood, and then had built-in remediation as part of that. So we really took a lot of time to review each of those requirements and then make sure that the learning outcomes for each of the chapters and each of the sections for the skills labs all supported those learning outcomes that were required as part of the state's program.
Great. Gwinnett, any insights on, how do you go about doing all that? How do you make magic happen?
I'll let Julie, our nurse educator, answer that.
So we also are driven by the state and federal guidelines and make sure that all that curriculum content is met and that they are also able to, understand and establish a good test scores and outcomes for those students and on those subjects. And then we will, we can add content. So some of our courses are 120 hours. So we can modify that and add additional content in and just take a deeper dive into some of those subjects, or add other things in as well that is pertinent to nurse aid training.
Great. Thank you for that. I'm seeing a couple more questions pop up. The first question is, are we able to provide training within our CVRF community? Resident care in some of our CVRFs provides similar to mid-level nursing home care. So I'm not sure if this individual is asking if any of you provide CVRF training in addition to the CNA, or if the CNA training can be used for CVRF, or if it's just like the venue that they're asking about. From my review of the application materials, it seemed like the nurse aid training program could be established in a variety of different different types of environments. So I believe that we could, help you if you are a CVRF and not a nursing home. That's something that we could certainly look further into and assist you with, but I'll let our panelists discuss the CVRF kind of, in this community-based residential facility type of training.
Sure. Okay. Yeah, we actually have the additional modules that are the state required modules for CVRF training being built right now as well. So we should be able to wrap that right around the CNA program, which is the heart of that CVRF training. So we can actually provide the whole package at some point here in the future. So we are working on that CVRF portion of that to have that training so that it can be just added on to the CNA program as a module. So absolutely, we're working on that. And if you want to send us some of your contact information for the person who asked the question, we'd be happy to do a follow-up with you and talk through kind of your specific needs for your organization.
Okay, and then another person has asked, how many hours should our on-site trainer expect to commit to a program like this on a weekly basis? So sort of like, what's the breakdown in terms of the workload for the instruction?
Julie or Gwinnett, you want to go first on that one?
Julie, would you like to take that one? Julie, are you on mute?
All right, I'll jump in.
Okay.
We'll work on that. No, go ahead, Julie, go ahead.
Yeah, so that'll depend a little bit on your nurse as well as your student population. So the bigger the classes, and the more experienced your nurses are, that they're going to be able to get those students through a little more. But if you've got a bigger class, sometimes that takes a little longer. Typically, what I see throughout the different states is about 20 to 24 hours working with them on their skills. Some of the programs will work with the skills concurrent. Some will wait until they finish the online. So with our program, we work with the facility and they pretty much give us the schedule that they are wanting to work with them on, and we work around that depending on what their individual schedules are.
And the way we've set up the program is that we've mostly back-ended the hands-on portion of the skills training. So the first 2 weeks are primarily the didactic online, and then the didactic online gets less and less the week 3 and week 4, and then more of the focus is on the skills in week 3 and the clinical in week 4. So the first couple of weeks pretty minor, and then as you saw, it's 4 hours of on-site for the skills on our portion, and then 16 hours of the clinical. So roughly 20 hours, but obviously you've got remediation and other things like that. As Julie mentioned, depending on the student skill set and where they're at, you may want to spend more time working with those students to ensure that they're getting the checkoffs and can validate that the skills are fully understood and demonstratable.
So I'm not seeing any new questions. So again, I encourage our audience, if you've got questions, comments, just a topic of conversation you want to throw out there, by all means, feel free. To our panelists, do you have any words of wisdom or frequently asked questions that you come across in your discussions with employers who are looking to do training providing in-house?
We're actually building a really good FAQ, one just to make sure that we can provide all those questions. So what we're working on right now is a deliverable to those partners that outlines all the different aspects, both from a curriculum view, from an instructor view, and then from a skills and a faculty member instructor basis. So we'll provide documents that will support all those different areas to try to make this as seamless and as easy for you as possible. We understand that this isn't your main focus, and we want to try to help offload that, as I know Julie and Gwinnett want to do the same thing. So we all want to make this as flexible and as easy for you, understanding that you have lots of other things that you're responsible for doing, and we're going to try to make this as easy as possible for all of you.
We work with each state affiliate and try to set up a PowerPoint process for them with links to the applications and the train the trainer and the different requirements that the lab list, the different things that they will need to do in preparation. And we work, with them on the calendars that they need to submit. We try to get a sample application together. So if you're working with a group that's not ever been a training center before, maybe they don't have their policies set up yet. So what we usually do is try to get a sample from someone who's already been through that process, that's willing to share a facility with other facilities and try to make it as painless as possible for them.
Well, great. This has just been so helpful. I really hope that everybody in the audience got some valuable and useful information to take back with them to their facilities. Again, I thank you all for being with us today. Thank you to all of our panelists for the wonderful information and your partnership with WisCaregiver Careers. Again, I'm only ever a phone call or email away, and I'm here to support you in your efforts of becoming an in-house training provider. Yeah, again, thank you for your attendance today, and goodbye.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.